In a phone call with CNN minutes after Biden announced his exit from the 2024 race, former President Trump responded, "He's the worst president in the history of our country. He goes down as the single worst president by far in the history of our country." Oh, he is coping. He's worried. He's panicked. He's panicking hard. You know, his entire campaigning strategy is just dust now. They had it. They were like, he's the perfect person to run against. If there's one Democrat we could easily beat is Joe Biden. And now they got to cast aside all those campaign ads. They got to toss them. They have to toss them. They have to restart. Woo! Everything that the RNC did, even though everything that they did, they tried to on the last second swap to like a unity message. They tried to make it seem like, they weren't attacking Joe Biden. Donald Trump mentioned Joe Biden by name like once or twice and just kept saying this administration. All of that is still hollow. It's still gone. It's Jover for them. It's freaking Jover for them, baby. Anyway, let's check in on Donald Trump, who is definitely not mad right now. Let's see what he had to say. Crooked Joe Biden was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve and never was. He only attained the position of president by lies, fake news, and not leaving his basement, which is a cell phone, by the way. That is, you're owning yourself. You're saying that a cadaver basically was on a stretcher the entire time and stretched his way into the presidency against you, the powerful being that you are, supposedly. Just a reminder for that. Also, what happened to unity, sir? All those around him, including his doctor and the media, knew that he wasn't capable of being president, and he wasn't. And now, look what he's done to our country with millions of people coming across the border, totally unchecked and unvetted, many from prisons, mental institutions, and record numbers of terrorists. I suspect that if there is any narrative damage that is the most significant to the re-election campaign, to the election campaign now, of Kamala Harris, it was done by Joe Biden at the last minute when he tried to pull this right-wing Donald Trump's own border policy agenda. It's very, very important for the Democrats to just move away from that as quickly and as expediently as possible, because I don't believe that the American population, no matter how reactionary they may get on immigration, are going to like putting their name in association with a guy who keeps saying Mexicans are and they are killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. That's his argument for the upcoming election. That is insane. You are not only hallucinating, but you're actually now hallucinating at a level where it's like objectively untrue. So a couple angles of attack from Republicans immediately, okay? One, they're going to say if Biden, obviously Trump already mentioned this. I've talked about this in the buildup to Biden dropping out. Couple angles of attack are going to be if he can't actually run for president, how the is he supposed to be president, right? And to them, the counter is pretty easy. You just say, look, I think Americans deserve like a younger, more vibrant, more dynamic person. And I did my job. I've been in office for 50 plus years, I've been in office for so long that I think it's like the right thing to do. I think I wanted to give the Americans an opportunity to put a fresh face on this like bold progressive agenda, right? And I feel like there's an effective counter there for that. But that's one thing that they're going to do. They're obviously also going to try and sue at every state to be like, no, you have to put Joe Biden on the ticket, even though he's literally not even the candidate yet. The convention hasn't happened yet. Another avenue of attack is obviously that like Kamala Harris was the vice president and she knew that Biden's mental faculties were not in order, which is why I thought that was another angle of attack, an avenue of attack that is like pretty solid, which is why I thought that the Democrats could not be so open and so bold about Joe Biden's mental faculties diminishing, which is why him staying in the race post that debate or even doing that debate was really, really stupid. But if that debate had not happened, ladies and gentlemen, today I will say this. I want to thank all of the idiots in Biden's orbit, in Biden's close circle, that thought that that debate that happened this early was a good idea, that Biden will be able to demonstrate competence in that debate. Because if it wasn't for them, we would be slow rolling this demented old man into the convention, and I would be still screaming for the rooftops that he's going to get cumstered by Donald Trump, because he's going to keep having those moments. He's going to keep having those moments, and the Trump administration is going to keep, or the Trump campaign is going to keep hitting those moments over and over again.
You better not ever go to Cell Block 1.
That's the other side of this. Like, Americans love tough on crime narratives and shit. And it's like you have a prosecutor, a former prosecutor, like, I don't like that. But average voters are going to look at this and be like, that's a former prosecutor going up against a convicted felon. If Trump was not a convicted felon at this point, that would be a different dynamic. But Americans do care about that. They hate the idea of voting for a convicted felon. The ones that are deep in the pocket, deep MAGA, they don't give a shit. Donald Trump could literally, in his own words, execute someone on Fifth Avenue and they'd still vote for him willingly. But this, for the old folks, oh my God, this would go kind of nutty for the old folks. It would go kind of crazy for the Rust Belt. All these people that are also swept up in the crime panic narrative. It's a little bit dependent on which narrative the Republicans go with. If they turn around and try to go with like, Kamala Harris was actually a woke DA or something, then it's a little different. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm thinking about it right now. There's a lot of things happening in my mind. Okay, too many things at once. No Trump-Harris debate. Republican source tells Politico Trump is unlikely to debate Kamala, saying he'll likely call her an illegitimate candidate. Oh, that's fear, dude. Oh, what happened? You really wanted Biden, but you don't want Kamala? What's that about? I think she needs to lean on that. It's too soon to tell, though. They're waiting for the numbers to come out. All right, real Donald Trump, 5:52 p.m. Eastern. So we are forced to spend time and money on fighting crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate and quits the race. Now we have to start all over again. Shouldn't the Republican Party be reimbursed for fraud? And yo, he's so mad. Come on, man. Don't give the game away. You're basically all but confirming that this is a good move. That's wild. He's like, come on, dude. We want our money back. Shouldn't the Republican Party be reimbursed for fraud in that everybody around Joe, including his doctors and fake news media, just knew he wasn't capable of running for or being president? Just asking. Just asking? That's wild. He's tweeting in a way where he's never tweeted before. He doesn't tweet like this normally. He is sad. Bro is panicking.
Biden's campaign co-chair, Cedric Richmond, was saying this.
I want to be crystal clear. He's made a decision, and that decision is to accept the nomination and run for re-election, win re-election.
Yeah, okay. Just a few hours later, a letter was released bearing Biden's signature announcing he's going to step aside from the race. So what happened?
That's so funny. They're crying foul. They're playing to the referee. They're like, I don't like it. They're not playing fair.
I want everyone to understand there are a few points we have to be very clear about tonight. Biden tonight is just as overall healthy and just as capable of doing the job as he was before the debate with President Trump. Obama, Schumer, Pelosi, they all knew that he was, basically not completely together. That weeks and weeks and weeks ago. In fact, they've known it for years, but they didn't care. They didn't care so long as it didn't threaten their hold on power. So what changed for Biden wasn't his overall competence.
They're so good. They immediately moved on. They're like, all right, time to bust out the new moves, okay?
To solve this threat, the power brokers in the party apparently intended to give the nomination to Kamala Harris. Well, that is ludicrous.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you. The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time. Who doesn't love a yellow school bus? Right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right?
Like, this doesn't work.
Always ask, is there a Venn diagram for this? I'm telling you, it's fascinating when you do.
This is not good. This is not good strategy.
Happened last night and this morning. Kamala Harris has not won a single primary. She hasn't persuaded a single delegate. She tried to run in the 2020 cycle, and we all remember she was utterly humiliated, dropping out even before the Iowa caucuses. And of course,
this part is actually fair and
solid.
Performance
as VP has been pretty abysmal.
Vice President Kamala Harris and her office are on damage control tonight after the latest in a series of missteps.
Growing tension between Vice President Kamala Harris and the White House.
As the 2024 race heats up, can she make a good second impression on voters? Or could she drag down the Democratic ticket?
And remember what Politico told us about Harris's VP office? That it was totally dysfunctional. And I remember when the Washington Post told us that Harris's...
Thank you. Please, this is sanity, okay? The last insane, chaotic, stupid month in American politics has obscured a simple, basic truth. Trump is deeply unpopular and an eminently beatable politician. It is so real. And this is the reason why I was saying that even Joe Biden, despite being a carcass that people now recognize is a carcass, still had a shot at defeating Donald Trump, albeit a shot that was increasingly getting worse and worse. As days went on, Joe Biden's chances of winning this re-election was getting harder and harder. Having said that, however, I think people forget how unimaginably unpopular Donald Trump is. Donald Trump, he's a very polarizing candidate, and he's also a very unpopular candidate. He is perhaps one of the best candidates that the Democratic Democratic Party at this stage could run against. And the Republican Party recognized that reality, which is why they tried to get him out. All right, from this afternoon, CBS News, CBS, will you debate VP Harris, Trump? I don't know who I'm going to debate. So far, we haven't determined who's going to be on that side, but I think whoever it is, I'd like to debate. Yeah, sure. 100%. More. CBS, does it change how you see this whole race? Trump, no, it's policy. The policy is still bad. The policy, whether it's him or her, wouldn't be any different. She was in charge of the border. She was the border czar. She was the worst ever. You know, it's really been a shock to the country. A lot of people got together. They kept him in a basement. The fake news media went along with it. And we have a man in there that shouldn't be in there. Trump had it. I think he's been the worst president in the history of our country. He's been a disaster. The worst president we ever had. So I think it's good for the country. Anyway, is Twitter now real life? No, it's less real life than it even was before. And it certainly wasn't real life before. Like this. Here, is Twitter real life? Let's take a look.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome these leaders for coming in to have this very important discussion about some of the most pressing issues of our time. I am Kamala Harris. My pronouns are she and her. I am a woman sitting at the table wearing a blue suit. And
like, that's disability accommodations, right? Can't believe she did that. You know what I mean? This is a winning message, guys. Hey, banger one. RNC research. What a banger. RNC research. No, that's going to move you across the finish line. Let's be real, okay? I think the broad majority of Americans, there are people who are blind in the room. I know. The broad majority of Americans probably get annoyed when they see like trans activists chirp or disability activists chirp. But this is the other side of that equation. This is the other side of that equation. It's like, what's it to you, bro? Let people be accommodating. Like, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Really? This is your winning message? Hey guys, what's up? I'm a kid and I suck. And I personally think that it's awful to be like accommodating to people. Hell yeah, I'm a playground bully. It's like, bro, you're just a bad guy. You have presented yourself as a bad person. I hope you are happy. Good take on that video retweeted by Edgar Mantum. It's so sick that Republicans are gonna lose because they can't stop bullying people for 5 minutes. Yeah, no, literally. Dude, I'm telling you right now, it's not 2016, man. It's not. There was 4 years of this. There was 4 years of this when Trump was president, and it didn't move the needle for people. People's lives didn't get better. No, it's so fun. It's awesome. Really simple. Under discussed reason why Kamala Harris shouldn't be president. No children. And no, becoming a step parent to older teenagers doesn't count. That's awesome. I love that shit. No answer to question on everyone's minds. No, Kamala Harris does not have a doctorate in foreign affairs. She's the...
is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
Brilliant. Excuse me. All facts. No printer. I'm sorry. Can you point me to what's wrong with this statement? Talk your Queen. It's illegal to be wrong. Yeah. I didn't realize that Republicans get mad when someone is, dumbing down statements for them to understand. Bro, this is so funny. Okay, this is literally like, you're just trying to say, when you don't know what the you're talking about and you're just trying to say things that that are factually accurate. Stephen Miller is melting down on Fox.
People, they had ballots. They filled out circles. They went to the voting booths. They spent money on advertising.
This is so funny because like this argument, like who are you making this argument to? To like people who are Biden or bust? Is that who? I'm a Biden or buster. I'm an 85-year-old Democratic Party loyalist. I voted for the Democratic Party in every primary and I voted for the Democratic Party in every general election. I will never stop voting for the Democratic Party. And I also happen to watch Fox News and I take this Stephen Miller guy who was Donald Trump's immigration czar very seriously. And I think this bald man who is a literal Nazi, by the way, I take him very seriously. He's right. I am mad in this scenario. You have to like, who's he talking to? He's talking to a hypothetical 85-year-old who's like always voted for the Democratic Party, who's now like, well, I cast my ballot in the primaries for Joe Biden and I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed. My expectations were that Joe Biden would be the president. I care about that sort of thing and not voting for whoever the Democrat is.
And as President Trump said, the Republican Party spent tens of millions of dollars running against Joe Biden.
Oh, this part's really awesome. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. Are you out of money? Oh, did you waste all your purse on Joe Biden? Oh man, that's so. He's like, I want a rerun. It's unfair. Why did they go ahead and change change who the candidate is. That's so mad. I'm so mad. In the words of Pokemon.
Like, if you're a broke boy, just say so.
This is the only timeline where Republicans are unironically riding for Biden. I mean, this was pretty obvious. They were already like behind the scenes trying to lock him in. Democrats just canceled democracy. They threw out an entire primary and used donor extortion to do so, like a third world state. Yo, who is this for, brother? This only works for Bernie or busters. Like a person who actually deviates from the Democratic Party and like represents different interests. Even if you don't believe Bernie Sanders is genuine, which many people do, obviously. Joe Biden, he has his roots in the Democratic Party. He's a calcified institutionalist. His replacement being made in the hands of the Democratic Party implies that all of his voters will unironically go and excitedly vote for whoever the replacement is. This only works to drive a wedge between like people who really wanted Bernie Sanders or a type of person like Bernie Sanders who actually has like different policy prescriptions, like a different agenda. Did you say this only works for Bernie or busters? Yes. And even then it didn't work. But I'm just saying like the likelihood that someone votes not for whoever the Democratic Party's candidate is after they have voted for Joe Biden is even lower than the likelihood of Bernie voters that will not vote for whoever is the candidate. Major Biden donor John Morgan tells ABC News he won't fundraise for Harris if she's the nominee. Okay. Oh no. I think they'll be all right. The only reason why the donor voices were significant in this process was because they were reflective of the broader population sentiment towards the Democratic presidential candidate, the likely candidate. They've raised like $50 million in a matter of hours since Biden dropped out. I'm sure there'll be some naysayers. There's also some dumb who are like, yeah, Joe Manchin would be great. We should put him in charge because you're the dumbest person on the planet. God, I hate Joe Manchin so much. Le Whimsical Coconut Lady has raised $5 million from AIPAC, by the way. Listen, Le Whimsical Coconut Lady, and like I said, I don't know what she's going to do in terms of Israel-Palestine, but it is pretty significant for her to have already stated that she was down for a ceasefire far before Joe Biden ever said it, when she was the vice president of Joe Biden. And there was no world where Joe Biden was dropping out or anything. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying that like Kamala Harris is going to deliver a free Palestine or some shit. I'm not saying that at all.